Alrighty, welcome back to Playing and Missing with Shoey and the Wiz. Playing at things that we shouldn't, and obviously missing the straight ones that we should. How
Nice.
are we, Shoey?
Hey Wiz, how you going, mate? How's the body after the inaugural game of the SPL yesterday?
I'll be honest, mate. It's holding up all right, which is nice. Only being at the batting crease with 4 balls does help with
Yeah, that was going to be my point.
recovery. I thought you were going to ask him. My hands were all right after dropping a bloke on about 30 odd. But I did catch him again. He was on 80 something though, so
You did.
slight vindication.
I was going to ask how the thigh was too, because normally when you're batting, you're supposed to use your bat, not your thigh, to stop the ball, right?
I mean, to be fair, we do have a bit of a reoccurring theme when you and I are in some form of playing 11. I do happen to miss one or two. Fortunately, apart from one game in particular, most of the time my stump doesn't go missing. So it's usually just a few battle wounds that I get to see. So yeah, there is a nice little rainbow-coloured spot
Nice.
on my thigh from Quinton de Bruyne. So
Nice battle
yeah,
scars.
bowls a heavy ball that I found out.
Yeah, he does. So I guess we'll just while you were talking about that, your overall thoughts on the day, and obviously it wasn't a great day weather-wise, but we managed to get through some cricket. But yeah, what are your thoughts as a player?
It's one of those things that, as much as you love all these things that just magically come out of nowhere, it gives you that appreciation for the behind the scenes work that goes into everything. So, fortunately, as a player within that competition, people such as yourself, they come along to do the streaming for it. So headed in early to help you do that, and then just seeing the plethora of people around, including Ryan, who did a great job as a ground announcer that day too. People putting up the net in front of the cafe to protect the local patrons from what were quite a few flying balls on Sunday.
Big hits, lots of lost balls too. I think we would have gone through about 4 or 5, maybe even more. It was good to have some kids though running around trying to find them after they'd gone through the hedge or over the hedge. So it was quite good.
Almost that old school kind of cricket where you'd have, we didn't have the pickets around the outside, or there weren't health and safety issues, and everyone just be picking the ball up before it got to the boundary.
No, that's definitely
but
right.
Good to see the kids out and about enjoying it as well.
Yeah, I must say that net reminded me of back in the days at home, getting the old net up so it didn't hit the neighbour's shed next door. That was brought back some fond memories seeing that get put up. So that was really good.
Jeez, I don't think your bowling was that wayward, mate.
Oh, that's when I was batting, mate. Yeah. Obviously, to the cricket, there was a couple of games. Obviously, the first game was played in a bit of rain, so harder bowling conditions and probably harder batting conditions as well, with the ball skidding on a bit. 180 odd for 9. We thought it was under par, didn't we? We have reliable information coming through for most of the day, to be fair. We thought it was about 200 was about par score on that ground, and we're a few runs short. But yeah, the long keepers bowled pretty well, didn't they? And restricted the Stars to take that win in the first match.
I mean, even whilst we were talking about it in commentary yesterday, Shoes, just the quality that was on show, especially in that first game there, the likes of Brent Arnell, former Black Cap, playing there. Callum Nichols, who's recently just received a contract for his county cricket back over in the UK as well. Ofisa Tono'u, obviously Samoa cricket and rugby representative. So, there was a lot of quality out there until the Wizards stepped out onto the oval. But yeah.
I'm glad you said that. And the second game was your first one, obviously. Bowling first. I did note in the commentary a few drop catches there from the Bombers. And I think that really cost
you had to, didn't you?
Not just from yourself, but I think it kind of cost the match in the end. And the old saying, catches win matches, I think came true.
Yeah, that, and obviously full credit to the Bulls as well. They bowled really tight, so unfortunately the Bombers did give away a few extras. But again, very young bowlers in the Bombers, so possibly just a little bit of nerves or just wanting to go that little bit of 110%, putting in their extra effort. But we'll learn from it as well, and I do believe there will be one player in that Kaipaki Bombers that will now start calling out to everybody else in the field before he throws the ball, so he doesn't launch the ball into the back of the opening bowler.
It was nasty, wasn't it? Oh,
It wasn't ideal, but he bounced back.
Yep,
I remember when we could do that.
Yeah, I'll be out for a week if that happened. Just on the
But,
score, yeah, that was a real high-scoring game too, right? 240 odd in the 20 overs, and then Riley Parkinson. That was some of the cleanest hitting I have seen. 60 odd off 18 deliveries, and almost took you guys over the line. So he'd be real happy with that effort.
Oh, and again, like you look at especially Leighton Parsons in that first innings for the Franklin Long keepers, and then Callum Nichols in the Northern Stars first innings in that first game. It's just those type of innings where you get about 50, whereas we had an 80 odd in in that second game there from the Tamahedu Bulls.
Yeah, I think it was Green, wasn't it? I think he actually got 96 from memory. So just short of the century. Yeah, I think you caught him on the boundary though. So
I did after I dropped him on 30. Yeah.
You said that already, right? Yeah.
But yeah, just one or two players in that T20 format can make a massive change. Was looking slightly dire for the Bombers for a bit before Riley came to the crease, and fortunately with that 7 over, they ended up going for about 38. Put us back on track.
Those double runs, make a massive difference. Changes the course of the game. And we did all again this Sunday, don't we? So
we do indeed.
Hopefully we'll get some better weather. Haven't checked yet, but I'm fingers crossed for that one. So we'll have a chat about that next week as well.
Yeah.
Right. Slightly bigger competitions going on at the moment with the Black Caps, just a little bit bigger.
Just a little bit. It's only called the Champions Trophy.
Yeah, true. Some high quality players on that side too, right? Obviously we had a warm up try series against South Africa and Pakistan. What were your thoughts on those games? Any standout performances from you?
I mean, not to say I told you so to anybody that does remember from the first episode. The Wizard did make a bit of a prediction that Will Young may not get a start if Conway starts firing.
Yeah.
And Conway has timed it very well that he has started firing just before the competition. And I'd like to say, unfortunately, could just be due to shot selection, which I know a lot about. Will Young hasn't seemed to have gotten runs in that try series or against Afghanistan. So
disappointing.
I don't know if we do our playing 11s later on in the episode show. I don't know if he's going to make the cut, unfortunately, but I'm still crossing my fingers that Will Young gets some game time at least. I think he's deserved it. But yeah, good performances from the Black Caps. Obviously, no real pressure on those kind of games, but you still want to go into a competition on form and in a winning mindset as well. So it can't be anything but positive for Black Caps.
Yeah, I think the conditions, obviously, it's like betting on a road, isn't it? You get past the first few overs, then you can just hit through the line, and there's been some mammoth totals. Like we saw a 350.
Yeah.
Even in the Pakistan South Africa game, there was a 350 runs, right? So yeah, she's going to be some high scores, I think, and some big hitting, and it might come down to one or two moments in those games that will win it for you. That's another point I wanted to raise with you. Now, New Zealand Black Caps have always prided themselves on their fielding, right? And I'm a bit concerned at the amount of catches that we've been dropping recently. And it's not just in the last 6 months, it's been the last couple of seasons, I think. That game, I think it was against Pakistan, we dropped 3 catches. Middle-league, one of them might have been difficult, but one of them was straight to the fielder, dropped it, and then, so I'm just a bit concerned that a moment like that will cost us one of these matches.
And like you said at the start, your catches do win your matches as well. Especially when you're playing this level of cricket, you don't want to give a bloke that's in the top 10 batting rankings, you don't want to give him a chance on 3 or 4 because there's a good chance he will just dig deep and that's going to be a big score that will hurt you.
Yeah, 100%. But positives, right? So 4 games
Mm.
in Pakistan, 4 wins. Some performances all around the players. Glenn Phillips, obviously, century.
Mm.
Latham getting some runs finally in that last match. And I think it's
Yeah.
probably cemented his position in the team, hasn't it, as well? Which further, hurts
Contentious
Will
point,
Young.
but yep.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
they always go with experience, I think, for that.
Mm.
Yeah, no, that's So those warm-up games were pretty good from the Black Cats' point of view, and hopefully that form continues into the tournament proper.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we are playing the hosts first up in a few days, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I think you got to win all your games, right, to win this tournament. So
yeah,
can't afford to have an off day.
Especially if you're Indian, you don't want to play a semi-final in Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly. The Afghanistan game kind of snuck up on me a little bit there. I didn't realise we were actually playing that warm-up match, and I see there was a few retires in the game. A notable one there is again Conway, 66, retired. Oh,
You'd like to think that's just load management.
Yeah, I 100%
I'd hate to think that we've got any niggles or anything, but
Glenn Phillips, 46, retired as well. So I think they were just trying to give the whole batting lineup a bit of a run. Chapman scored runs in that match as well. Santner got 30 odd. So I think.
And the one bloke that we both wanted to get runs didn't get runs.
Yeah.
Which is again, it's not ideal, but ended up on 14, which again it's not a duck, obviously, but when your counterparts getting over 50,
I think he's.
And like you said, it's not testing conditions.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good segue onto our predicted 11s, isn't it? Yeah, so Pakistan, it's our first match. What do you got, mate? What's your predictions?
Well, the main question is who's your wicketkeeper? Because, as you said, Latham got runs in that last game, but he has been struggling for runs. But do you then want Conway to possibly be keeping for 50 overs to then go open the batting?
Nah, they won't do that.
In quite humid, hot conditions.
Yeah, I'd say Latham's your keeper.
Yeah. So I'd agree with you. I think Latham's a wicketkeeper. Conway still keeps his spot at the top.
Yep.
Even though I ideally would not have that, but he keeps his spot at the top. Each to their own.
And I think he opens with Ravindra.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen if Ravindra's been cleared.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or not, but I reckon Ravindra's cleared to play. Yep, Conway and Ravindra at the top of the order.
Yep.
I mean, do we even need to talk about who's going to go 3
or 4? I think 3 and 4.
Or 4. Yeah. Yep.
Latham's going to come in at 5, and Phillips is going to be shooting for 6. Yeah, Satner's at 8.
I think. And then what are you thinking in terms of, are they going to go a spinning all-rounder, or are they going to lock in another quick bowler?
Yeah, I think they'll go safe.
Because you've obviously got Phillips who can bowl. You've got Santner that can bowl those slower overs. Worst case, again, you've also got Ravindra that can
that's a good point.
Get through a few of those slower overs too. So I'd imagine that Nathan Smith gets a spot in there.
He's probably out of all the bowlers, he's probably the better batter as well, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
I'd like to see, in the bowling though, I'd like to see Duffy get a crack. I think he's bowled his heart out the last couple of seasons, and he hasn't been given that much opportunity. And when he did perform, he kind of didn't make the 11 the next game. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see him get an opportunity. Matt Henry's obviously leading the attack now. I think it might be between O'Rourke and Ferguson for that last spot.
Yeah, that's the tough one because, I mean, let's be real. Ferguson, one, he has the experience and he's played quite a lot of cricket over in the subcontinent, especially in the shorter formats.
Yeah.
Or do you give the young bloke a go? I am confident he's been bowling really well. I don't see why he doesn't get the spot above Ferguson, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell, I'd say. We'll see how close we were when the first match proper happens, eh?
To be, I think something else that needs to be wary of as well is that Australian squad has had a few changes since it was announced as well. If you're Australia cricket, how annoyed are you at Marcus Stoinis?
Yeah, it's pretty rough, isn't it?
Yep, you're going to go to the Champions Trophy. Perfect, sounds good to me. And a week later, he goes, actually, you know what? I'm going to stop playing altogether.
Yeah. Something's must have happened, eh? We see this.
You'd think it's got to be a behind the closed doors thing.
Yeah, it must be, right. And, it's not uncommon now for players to speak up and put themselves first, and especially their health and well-being, right? I mean, classic example
100%.
Sophie Devine, right? Not playing in the Super Smash, and I just heard today that she's sitting out the 50 over series, I think it is, against Sri Lanka. So good on her for putting herself first and taking on the advice of the professionals and saying she needs a break from the game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's even, I would wager it's even harder for our women athletes as well, because, they don't get that big of a pay packet as what the male cricketers do as well. So, she's taken a financial hit doing that too. Yeah. But there's not much point if you're either not going to perform or you're not going to be yourself while you're there.
Yeah, definitely. And cricket is probably one of the most mental games around, isn't it? I mean, one ball you're a hero.
Where you going with that, mate?
You're not. Wasn't leading on to anything there, but I'm just talking in general, right? Because especially when you're batting, you got to switch on, switch off for every delivery, and it takes a toll mentally on you, as well. So, yeah, that's where I was going. I wasn't leading into anything there for you. I wasn't going to give you any more shit. I think we've got enough for you tonight.
And then we go again on Sunday.
Yes, we do.
Oh.
Right.
But then even talking cricket and the changes as well, something that I thought was quite good that the Australian women's and England women's team did for their Ashes series is the multi-format competition. There was a little bit of contention with the World Test Championship as well in the men's comp due to the differing numbers of tests played. So your thoughts, Shoey, on do we start looking at doing some multi-format series as opposed to separating them out, such as us having 2 tests at home this year, I believe?
Yeah, it was pretty rough, isn't it? Are you talking about in terms of the World Test Championship, or?
Well, if again you look at someone like Will Young, he's almost predominantly getting picked as a red ball cricketer now, and he's getting less opportunities to play red cricket if those test numbers keep dropping. Is that something that could help foster better either not cross-contamination, but cross-pollination between your short form and longer form cricketers, or even some of those test nations that just aren't getting as many tests because they've got them separated out as, we have to take a ODI team, we have to take a test team, and we have to take a T20 team. So I'm thinking it could be helpful for those cricketers to develop those longer format skills if it is more of a, hey, we're picking one squad for those 3 formats, like it used to be back in our day.
Yeah, well, I get that. Yeah, I think that player is almost gone, isn't it? There's very few players who can play all 3 formats. And I think, like you've seen, and like we've talked about too on previous episodes, you have those specialist T20 players, and that's all they do, right? They're even giving out international duty for that. And that's it's it's a massive skill in itself to play T20 cricket, especially bowling. Right, you're always on high into nothing with those batters and how the way they hit the ball now.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how you'd work that into like a points table or even the Test Championship. I get the idea though, and good on the woman for doing it and playing the Ashes. It's obviously the Ashes is a bit of a different story, right? Because it's a trophy between the two nations rather than a sort of a global event, right? So yeah, that would probably work. You'd pick a squad for that T20s, ODIs, and the Test match, and that's the players you get to use. That would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? And then players would have to adapt to those different
Yeah.
formats. So I see where you're going there. Took me a while, but I see it.
As it usually happens whenever one of us brings up a point straight away.
True.
Just sit there for a few hours in commentary talking about it until we understand each other.
Yeah, definitely. That's good.
Oh.
Speaking of Australians,
Mhm.
what's your thoughts on Kuhnemann and what's happened to him in the Test series recently against Sri Lanka?
Yeah, so for anyone that wasn't aware, Kuhnemann has been referred through to the ICC authorities, for lack of a better word off the top of my head, for a suspect bowling action. A couple of things with it, though. It only came to light at the end of the series,
Baffles me, right?
which is quite interesting in itself.
You could ask yourself what the match referee's doing, right?
It's either it's not good from the start, or it just shouldn't have been going at all. It's either not an issue, or it's an issue right from the start.
Yeah. And it's not like this guy hasn't played cricket before, right? He's played Sheffield Shield and other cricket, first-class cricket. Why is it all of a sudden a problem when he's come to Test match cricket?
Exactly. So then, is that either a failure in terms of what the regulations are, or is that a failure through the Australian cricket setup that it hasn't been picked up before?
Australians,
Like,
they wouldn't rat on their own.
no, we're talking about bowling action, not what grit sandpaper they want to use. But I mean, it's the first time for a while that it's been called post game. Obviously, we did have the Murley incident a few years ago where he was just being called for a no ball during the game, which I'd imagine helped redefine the rules. But I think what doesn't really help Kuhnemann now is the amount of cameras that are around the place. Because I've seen a few videos of him bowling, and depending on what angle that you're looking at, some of it does look really shifty.
Yeah, right.
But if you're looking just from behind where he is, where his arm is going, there's a bit of a bend, but I definitely don't think he's going past what he's allowed to be doing. But of course, if you want to not sit on the fence and pick a side, and you're very against that man having a bowl at your team and just rolling them out, then you'll find the angle that works best for your train of thought.
It's typical, isn't it? In anything, you'll find the angle that helps your case.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the same thing happened to Kane Williamson, didn't it? A few seasons ago, where he was picked up. I think it might have been in a Test match as well, or maybe or an ODI. And I think that's put him off bowling completely, hasn't it? Because we haven't seen him bowl again in international cricket. So
he doesn't really bowl too much now. Whenever he does get a crack at domestic cricket, either.
No, and which is a shame because he's such a good bowler, right? And he's just a great cricketer in general. So he's got the skills to pull it off. But yeah, it's unfortunate. So I guess we'll just see what happens with that one, and we'll keep people updated as we hear more.
And speaking of great quality players playing domestic cricket, Shoey Slog this week, mate. Tell me about it.
Well, he's a fan favourite of mine, to be fair. Martin Guptill, I know he's getting on a bit now, but when he was playing, I love watching him bat. I'll never forget that 237 not out in that quarter-final against the West Indies at the Cape Town. That was probably the most cleanest hitting I've ever seen in my life, especially the one that went out of the ground on the roof. That's just next level.
You don't see it often at the Cape Town.
No, you do not. But he's been at it again. So he's playing in the Legends 90 League, which is actually T15 cricket, so 15 overs per side. He scored 160 off 49 balls, which is just unbelievable. So He scored 16 sixes and 12 fours with a strike rate of 326. That's just some next level batsmanship, right?
And I mean, to be fair, Riley on Sunday was striking at something very
He
similar,
was,
but I
yeah,
don't think Guptill had the
the 7 over.
luxury of having a double over.
No,
Yeah.
he did not. So him and Rishi Dhawan who scored 76 from 42 himself, which is not half bad, is it?
Jeez.
They put on an unbeaten opening wicket stand of 240.
Off their 15.
Yeah, which is just unbelievable.
Mm.
It's the highest partnership in the competition and was the first time 200 runs have been reached in an innings. That was 15 overs,
That's
right?
ridiculous.
They went on to restrict the other side to 151 for 4, so they had a just massive victory. So that's definitely my slog of the week, because that is outstanding hitting.
And we'd love to see some of that down to the SPL as well. I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
Yeah, well,
Likelihood
could
of it
do.
not as quite, but with those double overs, could be possible.
Yeah, that could do. How about yourself, Wiz? Got any spells or bold predictions for this week?
Well, we do have a non-local derby happening in the SPL this weekend, but we do have two Welshmen going up against each other. Callum and Luke. Luke of the Kaipaki Bombers and Callum of the Northern Stars. Colin Hickey has obviously made a great choice in having Callum in the squad there. But I'm picking top run scorer this weekend in the SPL to the Welsh Dragon of the Kaipaki Bombers.
Nice. I thought you were going to call yourself
Looking
the top
forward to standing at the other end watching him
Yeah,
do it.
there we go. I was wondering where you were going to play out this one. Oh, very good, Wiz. Well, I think that'll wrap up another episode, won't it? So,
Mm.
always enjoying the chat, mate, and we'll see you out there on Sunday for another round of the SPL.